The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
This is KBCC 89.5 FM, Tracy, California, Peace and Justice Network of San Joaquin.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS The Voice of Stockton or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Phone Booth here on The Voice of San Joaquin. My name is Ed Heitman, and joining me in the studio, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Brian Rodriguez.
Hello.
And I'd also like to welcome our guest for today's episode, Joshua Sartain,
Hi there.
Founder and manager of Worst Friends Forever.
Yep.
And also soon to be the host of the new program coming soon to The Voice of San Joaquin, the Artist Hour. Now, before we tackle into our program for today, I kind of wanted to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about yourself and the show that's coming up, because it recently just got greenlit this week.
Yeah,
so,
yesterday actually.
Yeah, so I'm real excited to hear a little bit about it. So go ahead and explain to the audience a little bit about your show.
Okay, definitely. I've been having this idea for quite a bit, and I really wanted to get the Artist Hour on air. Originally it was going to be at Delta College, and I did get that greenlit and approved too, but then my friend Connor, he started working more hours at Amazon, so he was like, alright, I can't do Thursdays anymore, and since I'm not an RTV student, the show didn't got pulled.
That was always the bummer with Delta College Radio. A lot of great stuff to teach people, but unfortunately if you're not in the class, they kind of keep you from having access to the equipment there.
Definitely.
But
and it kind of sucks because the radio station isn't 24/7 like when the semester ends, there's no summer course for it.
Yeah, they take a break after the semester and everything,
and so by that time it was already the end of the spring semester, so I was like, all right, next best outlet is KXVS.
Yeah, and we're glad that you did come to us. We did originate over there at Delta College, and we are more of a 24/7 radio station, even if, pre-recordings are most of the time. We do try and keep our content constant throughout the year. So tell us a little bit about the content that's going to be in your show.
So the content of the Artist Hours to mainly focus on undiscovered talent in Stockton.
Okay.
And mainly it's for the rock community. I feel like there aren't enough shows on air for the rock community, and since I come from a rock background, and I founded and managed my band Worst Friends Forever, I figured why not come up with a show and content that is targeted towards that. So getting interviews, talking about shows, finding undiscovered bands, undiscovered artists, graphic designers, just painters, art in general, and having them on the Artist Hour and having a whole hour just talking about their art and all of that.
And I think that's a really great idea. I'm glad that you mentioned that there aren't too many programs here that talk about the rock community here in Stockton. We have Rise and Shine 209, we have Rane Hour, and we have Chillin' with Ches. Shout out to Renee and Cesare out there. That focus more on the hip-hop and R&B industry here in Stockton, and we have Betty Ramirez. Shout out to Betty Ramirez.
And we've got featured on Betty's Betty show.
Right.
A couple months ago. And so that kind of gave me the idea of why not having a show myself, I've been trying to get, into radio for quite a bit.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you here on board the Voice of San Joaquin family. Before we tackle into the topics, and we'll get to that real soon, ladies and gentlemen, just give us a bit of a teaser as to who will be showing up on your program starting next Thursday, right?
So next Thursday, I booked The Bright Side of Suicide,
Okay.
and he's an individual that plays a bunch of instruments and can sing. And I got him booked for next Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. And he's going to be bringing in some of his music, playing on air.
Okay.
And he's going to be, I believe, playing at least 1 or 2 songs live.
Awesome.
And he's definitely a cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys know what Vox Pop is. It's a venue in Stockton.
Mm-hmm.
They opened up like last year. So far they throw on every show. It's right across the street from the movie theater. They're actually closing down because they can't afford to keep that venue up and running anymore.
Oh, that's too bad.
So
That's unfortunate.
their last show is next month in June.
Ooh.
So he's actually on that show. So he's probably going to be talking about that. So he was my first choice.
Okay, well, that's a really great first choice. I honestly can't wait for that episode. I can't wait to hear a little bit more about the event and about him and everything.
And you said it's Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m.?
Yes.
Good to know.
Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m.
Right on, right on. So, starting off our show, as always, ladies and gentlemen, is a little segment that we call the Weekly Recap. You know, in this segment, we like to go over some of the news that has happened within the week regarding TV, video games, movies, all that good stuff. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, if there's a topic within the week that you want us to talk about on the show, just let us know, comment on our video or message the Voice of San Joaquin, and we'll get right on that in the next week's episode. Now, this first topic is actually talking about the Batman movie that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was going to be starting off with Ben Affleck as Batman because he was introduced around Batman v Superman, but due to recent events, Ben Affleck is no longer on board. And for a while, people have been looking frantically to try and figure out who will be the next Batman in this movie. Now, this, of course, is a rumor, but it is a very, very, very... It's one of those rumors that's very suggested that it's true. But we also have to speculate that this is a rumor.
Did Ben Affleck help write and produce that Batman movie too in the beginning?
Yes.
At one point, he was going to star, direct, and write it, and then he eventually was just going to write and star in it, and then he was just going to star in it, and now he's not in it at all.
At least he came up with the concept of it.
It seems like it, though rumors are the story's changed significantly since his draft, so who knows anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, but the supposed rumor is that Robert Pattinson of Twilight fame has been cast as Batman in Matt Reeves' upcoming film. Of course, this is a lot of speculation, but we have to point out that Warner Brothers has yet to really confirm the casting choice for this and everything.
But no one's denied it yet. Robert Pattinson, Warner Brothers, this has been a really popular rumor. It's been basically everywhere, but no one's denied it yet, which does seem to lend a bit of truth or a potential truth to it.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, the same thing also was applied when it was rumored that Henry Cavill would no longer be Superman.
I still think he's going to leave Superman.
But it was never confirmed.
True.
They never actually really responded to it,
Robert Pattinson might be maybe a number one candidate for it, or maybe the top 5 that they're trying to pick and choose.
Yeah, it's a good possibility, seeing as lately they've mentioned that they're trying to find a younger version of Batman, and Robert Pattinson seems fairly young for his age.
Is he? Do you know if he's a British actor or English actor?
I believe he's British.
British,
right?
Which would make him yet another British actor playing a traditionally American
I was gonna
superhero.
say.
Yeah, but I mean, in all fairness, he could do an okay role as Batman. I mean, of course, I'm one of those people that always sees Robert Pattinson for Twilight, so it's kind of hard to get past that whole character trope. But I mean, he was in other good works. He was in Harry Potter at one point in time, and he did a good
before
job.
Twilight.
Yeah, and he did a good job in there. So I mean, who knows?
There's always a fact that Ben Affleck might cameo.
Oh,
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, because he never got to do his own Batman movie. He's like the only Batman actor so far that hasn't gotten his own movie to work on yet.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. But anyways, Brian, you go ahead and take it away to the next topic.
In some breaking news, breaking as in 20 minutes ago as we're trying to get the script together to go live. Jason Schreier released a report that Call of Duty's 2020 release, not this year's game but next year's, is in a bit of turmoil. Activision has removed Sledgehammer Games and Raven Games as the head studios developing this game, and since held Treyarch of the Black Ops series as the head to create a Black Ops 5 for 2020 release. Now this comes after so much. Apparently there's been a lot of infighting between Sledgehammer and Raven Games. Sledgehammer actually just lost its 2 founders who founded their own studio and have been sort of bleeding a lot of the staff away from Sledgehammer. But this also breaks the traditional 3-year cycle where there are 3 developers who will take 3 years to develop a Call of Duty game, and that allows them to have a consistent standard of quality and still have an annual release schedule. It usually goes Sledgehammer, Treyarch, Infinity Ward. Mm-hmm. So we just got Treyarch, so this year we're getting Infinity Ward, so we should be getting Sledgehammers, but now we're getting another Treyarch. So who knows if that cycle will even continue anymore.
I'd just like to mention, are we really ready for another Black Ops game in the franchise? Because Black Ops 4 has been doing pretty well, especially with its blackout mode, the Battle Royale option and everything. And it almost seems as if, and I was talking to Brian about this, it seems as if with Black Ops, they really hit the roof already. And they can't really break past the roof with another Black Ops game, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's sort of true for all Call of Duty games. It's not necessarily just Black Ops, because Black Ops 4 has actually been considered somewhat of a failure by Activision, because it sort of maintained the standard of, in 3 days, it made $500 million. But that's what World War II did World War II did the year before. It didn't see enough growth to be considered a success, and is considered a failure, even though it's $500 million in 3 days. That is an absurd amount of money.
Yeah, that's a real improvement, I mean, and honestly, with another Black Ops game, what could they really add to what hasn't already been established? Because the Black Ops mode already is kind of breaking new ground in the Call of Duty series. It's the first time ever that we've had a Battle Royale mode.
I feel like Call of Duty should come up with another original concept for the game, because you got Black Ops that's been around for how many years, then you got Modern Warfare. So what if Call of Duty came up with new content, brand new content that's never been in the Call of Duty franchise, and just started fresh? So a perfect example would be like the Star Wars, right? So you have the Star Wars franchise that's dating all the way back to the 70s.
Yeah.
So now they're branching out and they're coming up with new content for a whole new franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be cool if we saw Call of Duty do that, because how many Black Ops are they going to put out,
Yeah, that's true. And if they were able to create some new kind of content, it would be really interesting. But the problem is that with the Call of Duty franchise, they've tried a lot trying to come up with new content.
Yeah.
They started off with World War II based content, and then people said, hey, we kind of want to see Call of Duty in modern day, so we had the Modern Warfare franchise.
And then they bombed with Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah. And then people said we wanted to see Call of Duty in the future and see how that goes, so we got Advanced Warfare and the next Black Ops game after that.
Which was 3, right?
I think it was 3.
Mm-hmm.
3 that introduced all the machinery. And then after that, they said, well, this is kind of lame. We want more futury. So we got Infinite Warfare, where people went all the way up into outer space, and that's where it took place there. And then once that happened, fans were saying, we don't want it in the future. We wanted to go back into the past. So we got World War II, which was taking place in World War II. And then people said we wanted it back into modern times, so we got into Black Ops. So it's kind of like they try to add new content, but it's the fact that the fans keep wanting something new that it's hard for them to try and keep up. What I think they should do is add a new game mode. Because before we had the blackout mode, Call of Duty World at War broke grounds with its zombie mode when it first came out.
Yes.
And when that came out, it was Call of Duty had a huge, way bigger player fan base because people really wanted to play zombie mode. And Blackout mode kind of done the same thing. More people are interested in playing it now because there's a Battle Royale mode. Mm-hmm. So if they really want to break grounds, they'll have to try and come up with some new style of gameplay that they haven't done yet for the Call of Duty franchise.
Have you played Call of Duty Zombies on your phone yet?
I have not played it on my phone yet, actually.
It's pretty interesting, not going to lie. it's in some ways it's a little challenging because I'm not used to playing zombies with my thumbs
Yeah.
on the screen.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool, to be honest. I like the fact that they stored Call of Duty Zombies on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. You should try it.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it a shot. Heck yeah, man. Sure thing.
It should also be noted that this shakeup may include a new payment model for the game because apparently Activision is considering free-to-play for 2020. They're also considering some form of free-to-play for this year's, which is supposed to be Modern Warfare 4.
Free-to-play.
Previously, Activision has been very against it because they want
Activision.
They want all of the money all of the time.
Yes.
So free to play would be more like Fortnite.
It would be like
games like Fortnite. And
games like Fortnite where they're free to play and download, but
there's also the alpha package you can buy for the full game.
And
microtransactions.
That's why Fortnite or games like that have so much microtransactions, because it's free to play, but they're making most of their profit on packs, the
add-on
content you can buy, and so that's why Fortnite is making billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, and we've seen Black Ops 4 experiment with this with a battle pass system and microtransactions, including certain red dot sites being microtransactions.
But that didn't do too well. They were trying to price like a full $1 for like a smiley face red dot site.
Which I think is going to be a look into how they're going to be monetizing it if they do go free to play.
Yeah, but free to play would definitely be a huge step up for Call of Duty games for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, next on news, we have a milestone to talk about. Yesterday, Minecraft celebrated its 10th birthday. Now, to celebrate, Mojang announced that Minecraft Earth, a mobile AR game that will allow users to build virtual creations in the real world, is going to be announced at some point in time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's also supposed to have a beta this summer and a full release later on this year. Minecraft also became the best-selling game of all time recently, selling 176 million copies. And this beats the former record holder Tetris, who had reached 170 million sales across every single version of Tetris that had ever come out.
Since the 80s.
Yeah.
And in 10 years, Minecraft beat that. That is...
Yeah, it's amazing, And I remember when Minecraft first came out, and it was doing pretty popular and everything, but I didn't expect it to reach that many sales upon its eventual. I didn't expect 10 years from now it would break the milestone of every Tetris game combined.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, and as far as the whole AR game goes, I mean, I can imagine a Minecraft game using AR mechanics would be kind of interesting. So far, when it comes to AR, I've only dabbled with games like Pokemon Go, Ingress, and stuff like that. So I'm not really too sure about the Minecraft one. But then again, AR we seem to be at the point in time where AR is finally starting to be tested. They're finally starting to come out with more games using AR after trying to see the ins and outs and how it works and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of Pokemon Go clones.
A lot of Pokemon
definitely.
Go clones. Yeah.
But Minecraft AR would definitely be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine the number of griefers, though, would be way too much. People just destroying buildings just to destroy buildings.
Building inappropriate objects and...
Yeah. So many things you can do on Minecraft. Just put that in AR.
Yeah. A lot of people are going to get hit by cars.
Oh, gosh. No, man. I hope not, because the whole Pokemon Go craze when it first started caused way too much trouble.
Yeah.
Way too much. Anyways, Brian, you go ahead and take on this next topic. Now, this is about something we've been following for quite a while since its eventual release, the Epic Games Store.
Everyone's favorite new launcher.
Oh, yeah.
The Epic Games Store is folding its first Epic Mega Sale, which is a store-wide sale akin to Steam's summer and winter sales, if you know those. Everything is discounted. Everything is being pushed to the forefront. It's usually a bit fun. However, the sale for Epic has already hit a bit of a hurdle, as several developers have pulled their games from the store for the sale. Games such as Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which is totally not almost incomprehensible to type out, Oxygen not included, and most significantly, the Epic exclusive Borderlands 3 have all been temporarily removed from the store. Now, all these games are available for pre-order, and that seems to be the main point of contention. See, for the sale, all games over $15 are getting a $10 price reduction, which, if your game is at $15, it suddenly becomes $5, and Epic is swallowing the cost for that, so the developers are still getting the full amount of money. However, this also makes it also possibly violates some contracts that these games have with other distributors. See, a lot of distributors like GameStop have clauses in the contracts that we will sell your game, but only if it is at the same exact price across every storefront. It's why digital games are still priced the same as, physical games, even though they should cost significantly less because there is no actual physical, production materials, anything
Basically.
like that.
Yeah.
Yes, and it seems like these games may have been removed in order to avoid violating those contracts, because if they're sold at, say, in Borderlands 3's case, at $50 instead of $60, that makes the Epic version a lot more, that makes it more competitive against its other versions and retailers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do admit it's a little interesting that Epic is even trying to do an Epic Mega Sale, considering that its website is still so young.
It doesn't have a shopping cart yet.
It doesn't have a shopping cart yet. From what I heard, they still don't have a user review section for their video games. People just go on to Steam and negative review the games that are over on Epic.
Yep.
Yeah, which is interesting because the whole thing that Epic's been trying to do is that it's been trying to beat Steam in the sense that our games, when we put it on our website, is going to give more money to the developers, because Steam at the moment has a 30% cut, I believe, from their games.
Yeah, it's, I believe, 30% for Steam, but it's only 12% for Epic.
Yeah,
Okay.
so developers get a lot more money out of it. But then this sale comes along where all these games that have become exclusives because they are promised to get more money out of it, suddenly all these games are being price reducted severely, so these developers are going to actually earn less, and I'd understand if the discount was for like games that are already out, because if it's already out, then of course, discount away, but I don't know, the idea of putting a discount on a pre-order is kind of weird, in my opinion.
And it's not something that's typically done, because you get discounts on games after they release, once their initial sales period has passed and once they sort of devalue in the public mind. By putting them on sale as a pre-order, it already starts devaluing them and makes customers think, maybe I shouldn't pay $60 for this game at launch or before launch. Maybe I should just wait a little later to get the $50 because I've already seen that they'll value it at $50.
Right. So all in all, it's just kind of confusing because Epic is being put under a very huge microscope at the moment. They have potential, but the fact that they keep going on and on about competing against Steam, because of that, everybody's been analyzing the Epic Store for every single minuscule detail, and because of this sale, there's going to be even more doubts put out on the table about even switching over to the Epic Store.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of funny that for their first big sale, the Frontliner is one of their exclusives has pulled out of the store temporarily.
Yeah, that is weird. Anyways, you go ahead and carry it on to the next topic.
All right, Microsoft and Sony have announced a partnership, a gaming partnership, no less, which is really shocking.
The first ever.
Yeah, the two companies will explore using Microsoft's Azure computing service to create new cloud-based gaming solutions. Now, that is an incredibly vague statement, and unfortunately, Microsoft and Sony really haven't cleared it up what that means. But it could possibly mean that maybe the PlayStation 5 will have some sort of cloud-based gaming solution powered by Microsoft Azure. It's hard to guess. But it is interesting that this partnership is coming so soon after Google announced their Stadia game streaming platform. Possibly they're trying to team up to combat the upcoming Google juggernaut.
If it even really is a juggernaut, though. When I heard about the Stadia, it was like, it sounds like a good idea, but Google having its own gaming platform is a little, I don't know.
Of course, people said that about, Sony when their biggest thing was the Walkman, or even Microsoft when they were just the guys that made Windows.
Now with Microsoft and Sony teaming up together, does that mean we're going to get some PS exclusives going to be on Xbox and some Xbox exclusives going to be on PlayStation?
Well, again, this partnership is very vague. We haven't really gotten any information about it, but hopefully what I hope is that there will be cross-platform capabilities between games, because Sony has had this track record. While Microsoft and Nintendo will let people play against players on other consoles, like if you had the Xbox One, you'd be able to play, like, say, Fortnite against people who have the Nintendo Switch. Sony has always been the person to not want to partner up with anybody, because they think that if we partner up with somebody, we might lose some devoted players of the PlayStation, so they can hop over to some other console and play that instead. So the fact that they're willing to do a partnership with Microsoft, of all things, because Microsoft has always been like their biggest rival in the gaming industry. If Microsoft releases a banger, Sony has to release an even bigger banger and all that stuff, you know. So the fact that they want to partner up, of all things, it's epic. But so far, we don't really have any information as to what they might be doing, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool that it's even in the air that they're gonna work together.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
It shows that tensions are thawing, which is good, because Microsoft has actually been sort of positioning itself for the next generation of the console war as less of a contender and more of a jack of all trades. They're,
Yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
they've got stuff on the Nintendo Switch. They're going to be bringing Xbox Live to certain Android games.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, gosh, this year's been pretty eventful for the video games industry, hasn't it? And
Yeah.
it's like only halfway in so far.
We're not even done with May yet.
Jeez.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
On to the next little topic. Now, as you might have heard, Disney's kind of had a bit of a reputation lately for making live-action adaptations of former classics.
I feel like it's 50-50, to be honest.
Yeah.
Some are good,
Yeah.
some are not really good. Some shouldn't be made live version. Some are better than even the original version.
That's true. Sometimes we get movies like Beauty and the Beast, which didn't really do too well, but then we have live-action movies like The Jungle Book, which
Yep.
was really, really good.
So
when that
Disney's
came out.
is basically hit or miss, kind of.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah. But recently, it's been announced that a film version of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is in development. It's directed by Akiva Schaffer. The film is set to be a live-action CGI hybrid and is supposed to be a self-referential take on the original show. Now, I'm kind of interested in this because this is the first Disney live-action adaptation we've gotten that's based off of a series as opposed to a movie.
Okay.
You know?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, man?
I'm excited for it. I'm not a huge, fanboy for the Rescue Rangers, but I do like Akiva Schaffer. He's one of the members of The Lonely Island, the comedy band. Very funny. So I think it can be fun. I think that they've said it's, supposed to be a self-referential meta take, and that it's not going to necessarily follow the exact setup of the show where they're a detective agency.
Okay. What do you think, man?
I feel like, Chip and Dale. I feel like this could be definitely a hit because, it's going to bring in some of the older audiences that grew up with Chip and Dale, and then combine it with the new audience in this generation because, Chip and Dale definitely hits the younger generation, younger audience.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see this being well thought out.
It definitely, yeah.
Now, whether if they use too much CGI or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a movie that's too much CGI, where it's not believable,
Yeah, that's very true. When it comes to CGI, there seems to be like a certain balance about it. Very few movies get away with it being heavily CGI. Like I think one of the exceptions was Tron Legacy
Yep.
when that came out. It was very CGI, but it worked because
But I mean, it's Tron,
Yes,
It's
Tron,
It's
you
supposed
know.
to be.
Yeah. But hopefully they do a minimum amount of CGI. Of course, they'll have to do it for Chip and Dale, but I also hope that they actually take time to design Chip and Dale as opposed to what we got with the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer recently.
That
where they
is
tried
the low
being
bar
too realistic, in
Yep.
my opinion, But, I mean, if it works, it works. I've always been 50-50 on the live-action reboots, but if they're self-aware and everything, then it might be funny, I mean, Deadpool was a pretty funny self-aware film and everything, so hopefully it works.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead and take it away to the next topic.
So Disney has confirmed what the next Star Wars film after Rise of Skywalker will be. Last week we told you about their upcoming release schedule, where starting in 2021 they'll be releasing the Avatar sequels and new Star Wars movies on alternating years. So the 2022 Star Wars movie is apparently the first of the 3 films from D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. These are the showrunners and current writers of Game of Thrones, and it's unclear if they're working on a trilogy or 3 separate movies, but given that, they're being released so close together every other year, it seems like it will be a trilogy. And of course, this announcement has come with a bit of backlash due to the poor reception, to put it lightly, for the final season of Game of Thrones, which has been primarily written by Weiss and Benny Hoff.
Yeah, I haven't really watched Game of Thrones
It's bad.
myself, but you have, and from what I've heard,
no, I haven't watched it either.
It's bad. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's so bad.
you know, and it's unfortunate to hear that, you know, because before the latest episode, there was also that whole epic war episode that a lot of people complained was so dark that you couldn't see anything that was happening throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, I had to mess with the brightness on my TV so much. Everything had this sort of white tint to it, but it was the only way I could get the brightness high enough to see what was going on.
And that's unfortunate. But in regards to the fact whether or not they're going to be a trilogy or 3 separate movies, I honestly hope that it's 3 separate movies.
I hope for that too.
Because we have gotten confirmation that the other 3 Star Wars movies that are coming out is going to be a trilogy made by Rian Johnson, the guy who directed The Last Jedi that recently came out, you know, and I kind of hope that we only have to deal with one trilogy at a time, especially because of the fact that they've been heavily emphasizing that this next Star Wars movie that's coming out, Rise of Skywalker, is the end of the Skywalker saga, and hopefully we'll be getting some brand new stories that take place outside of the world that we're familiar with, and we get something new. And I don't really want to have to get dragged through another trilogy, because with Star Wars, it seems like whenever they have to deal with a trilogy, they're being held back by so many key details. You can't really do too much new stuff, or else you make the previous installment not look good.
No, yeah,
you know?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so, I mean, I hope we have to just deal with separate films at a time and then get another trilogy from Rian Johnson.
Yeah, I think we're probably not going to see the Rian Johnson trilogy till the late 2020s, possibly the 2030s, given the timeline that we've got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on the new ones coming out?
I'm excited for it. I just recently watched the trailer that's for the new Star Wars movie, and it looks definitely cool. I'm excited that they're finally closing out the Skywalker storyline to that.
Yeah.
I to be honest, I feel like they kind of dragged it out just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really did. And you know, I think it's just because it was because of the fact that it was stuck in a saga. You know, I mean, we've clearly gotten examples of Star Wars movies that are great, that aren't directly tied in. Like, I heard Rogue One was a really good Star Wars story, and it was only kind of connected to the main Skywalker saga. You know,
it was a 2-hour movie to explain why there was a hole in the Death Star.
Yeah, basically.
It was some insane writer. Actually, the writer was Gary Whitta, who's actually very good, but it was his attempt to explain this one hole in the plot in a 2-hour movie.
I really liked that movie, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a definitely good installment.
Mm-hmm.
But with closing out the Skywalker, you know, storyline, it's definitely going to be cool to see what, you know, Star Wars puts out after that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I'm definitely ready to close out the Star Wars storyline. I don't know if you guys are, but
yeah, it's time. The Skywalkers have been screwing up this galaxy for long enough.
Yeah, it's been fun, but we have the potential for other things, you know. The new storylines shouldn't just be coming straight out of the Old Republic video games and stuff.
Yeah.
We need something new.
Yep.
You know. On to the next little topic. During a Reddit AMA, which means Ask Me Anything, MCU architect Kevin Feige dropped an interesting little hint. There are apparently plans to incorporate the real Mandarin into the MCU.
Oh.
Now, for those of you who might not be up to date on comic book villains, the Mandarin has been the longtime antagonist of Iron Man. He's been known to possess the 7 rings, I believe it was. 10 rings. Ancient scroll tech, which was been manufactured into rings, each one with its own unique ability. Like, imagine the Infinity Stones, but much less powerful and distributed into 10 rings instead of 5 or 6 stones.
Yeah.
You know, and he was introduced in Iron Man 3 as like the head of this terrorist organization, but then we find out later on that he's just some actor who's been hired by the real antagonist of Iron Man 3 to kind of stir the public. Of course, after immediate fan backlash, there was a short film that came out afterwards. I think it was called Hail to the King or something like that.
All Hail the King.
Yeah, which proved that the real Mandarin is there, but we never actually got to see him yet.
Yeah, it should also be noted that there is a terrorist organization called the Ten Rings throughout the Iron Man films. They're the ones that kidnapped Tony Stark in the very first one, leading to him becoming Iron Man. So it is clear that with the revelation of All Hail the King, the Mandarin is out there in some capacity. However, we never really got another Iron Man movie to sort of flesh out where he is. Though it is rumored that he will be appearing as the villain in the upcoming Shang-Chi movie in Phase 4.
Okay.
You know, I honestly can't wait if they do bring in the Mandarin, because it would be the perfect antagonist to follow up Thanos, in my opinion, because you had Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, he's able to do all these cool things, and the Mandarin, to an extent, is able to do just as many awesome things, except not necessarily able to wipe out half of all life in the galaxy.
And it's a little unfortunate we won't get to see him going up against at least Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, since he's left the franchise now. It'll be interesting to see if they introduce him as a one-off villain, or maybe as a more of a puppet master role to appear across a few films. I hope for the puppet master, because the Mandarin's a really fun villain.
Oh yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts, man?
I at first when I saw Iron Man 3, what do you remember what year that came out?
2013.
2013, yeah.
Man, I was like sophomore in high school. But I really like the concept of that villain, and then as soon as it like that twist, I was like, man, this kind of sucks. You
Such
know?
a letdown.
Seeing a terrorist like that being a main protagonist, I was like, okay, this is definitely a lot different than Iron Man 2, but a little bit better. And then like you said, it was a letdown. And so if they bring them back and do them right for Phase 4, I feel like that would definitely bring in more fans to the MCU.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because the Mandarin's such a great villain.
Yeah, really is. And you know what? I'm kind of glad that you pointed it out, because it was a letdown that there was a huge twist at the end of Iron Man 3. But if the Mandarin really was just the head of a terrorist organization called the Ten Rings, that interpretation of the Mandarin, I really would have been down to see more of. Even if he wasn't super powered and he was just a terrorist leader, the way they presented him through all those commercials in Iron Man 3 really made him look like
felt so powerful, right?
Yeah, such a very dangerous person to deal with, But yeah, man, if they could have stuck to that, I would have been happy with it. But I'm even more excited that they're bringing in the genuine Mandarin with all the superpowered glory. Anyways, go ahead and take away the next topic, Brian.
Skull and Bones, Ubisoft's pirate-themed naval combat game, has been indefinitely delayed. During an earnings call, Ubisoft didn't actually detail why it was delayed, but confirmed it won't be at E3 this year and will not release until after March of 2020 at the earliest. A tweet from the game's developers said their focus is on quality, possibly hinting that maybe the game was delayed due to a need for polish.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with it being delayed for polish, especially with Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
Because one thing Ubisoft definitely needs when it comes to their video games is a nice polish, because there are too many Assassin's Creed memes floating around from just there being really, really bad graphics here and there. But it is unfortunate that this is kind of being delayed, because I've been excited to look into it. I admit, when I played Black Flag, I had a bit of problems at first operating the pirate ships when going around in the water. But eventually, when I got to see people do naval combat, it looked really, really fun. When I heard about the idea of there being a game that's exclusively pirate ship combat, it sounded like such an amazing game, something that you could really have fun with, especially because in Black Flag there were so many ships you could choose from.
So now what about when they introduced that ship's first in Assassin's Creed 3? Because, that's when they first introduced it.
Yeah, the ship missions were okay. The combat was good because it was the combat system that was actually being developed for Black Flag. It was added in at the last minute. But the missions never really had a purpose in the game. They were, to open more trade routes, to make more money, which was already extremely abundant in the game.
Yeah, I'm afraid I didn't really get to play too much of Assassin's Creed 3, so I didn't know that the whole naval combat was already there.
I was just at GameStop like 2 weeks ago. I saw they remastered Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely a game I do eventually want to play
for
at some
next
point
gen.
in time.
You should definitely play it, because it's out of all the Assassin's Creed, I feel like that one's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I heard Assassin's Creed 3 definitely had a really good storyline, really good protagonist and everything. So I definitely do want to give that a play at some point in time when I get a chance. It's fairly cheap for the 360 right now in GameStop, so I think I might swing by and check it out at some point.
Have you played? Do you play Black Flag? Have you played the one after that? Which one is that? That's
Unity.
Rogue. No.
Oh, Rogue. Yes.
Yeah. Rogue.
Right, because that was developed for last gen.
I'm afraid I haven't had the chance to play Rogue just yet. I'm still kind of
Finish Black Flag.
Yeah,
because
my little brother
Rogue comes right after Black Flag. Story based.
Yeah, my little brother played Black Flag like through and through. He finished it because we've been playing it on the PS3 and everything. But yeah, I definitely want to give that. I definitely want to check that out at some point. But yeah, it is unfortunate that got delayed. Anyways, on to our last little topic before we enter trailer talk. Now, Riot Games, the developers of League of Legends, have refused to meet the demands of last weekend's employee walkout. We talked last week about the walkout and how one of the main points of contention among the protesters was Riot's forced arbitration policy for current employees. Now, while offering new employees the option to opt out of forced arbitration, Riot has remained firm on their stance that they won't end the clause for current employees until at least their current legal battles have ended, if ever.
Yeah, so what Riot has said is that they are looking into options to allow current employees to opt out of forced arbitration, but if it did happen, it would only happen after their current, legal fights with their 5 employees, which could take years. So it's maybe in a few years we'll let you opt out of this.
Yeah, and it's been really bugging me because Riot has been accused of a lot of very bad stuff lately within the workplace, and it's kind of what the walkout was about because people would have complaints and Riot would want it to be handled with arbitration to where they will deal with it inside the company instead of going over to court. And that's what the walkout was all about because people were demanding that they have the right to take legal action against Riot if they're being treated unfairly and everything.
Which is, you should be able to do that.
Yeah,
you definitely should be able to do that. One thing that me and Brian have always been talking about and we try and keep very up to date on here on the show is the current battle between people working in the video games industry and the head development team behind these companies because we've been witnessing a lot of incidents where people have been, harassed in the workplace and everything. There have been people who have been subjected to numerous amounts of crunch time. Red Dead Redemption publisher Rockstar at one point bragged about its crunch time. The NetherRealm, the people who worked on Mortal Kombat, we recently found out that they did crunch time to work on Mortal Kombat 11.
Now, do you see a lot of this in this line of work?
Yeah, crunch time is... Game developers don't have a union like most other industries, so they don't have basic protections against things like this. So
yeah, they don't have a limit to the number of hours they can work a week.
Yeah. So sometimes you've got developers working 100-hour work weeks, which is absolutely insane. Not having weekends, not being allowed to take time off. And of course, there's always the argument from the heads of the companies that no one's holding a gun to their head, which... If your argument is you are not threatening to shoot someone in the head and that's why you're a good person, you need to rethink your argument. But of course, if your boss tells you, hey, I need you to work a weekend, you don't have to.
Yeah, but you choose to. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
So do you see a lot of harassment, at least in this line of work field?
Yeah, it's not as reported on as crunch, but I assume there is quite a bit of sexual harassment because... Gaming started out, at least development-wise, as sort of a boys' club, and when you have an industry that starts like that, it grows like that, and it stays like that.
Yeah, I believe the 2 latest incidents that we had heard from was from Riot Games. Some employees were talking about it, and also the people who worked on Guild Wars 2. What was that again? I want to say it was ArenaNet.
Yes.
Yeah, ArenaNet. They are also being accused of stuff like that as well, and all this is going on, and people aren't really able to do anything about it because of the fact that they don't have a union to protect them in these instances.
Yeah.
Because you have other companies you have other industries out there like manufacturing industries, media industries who have had a union for a very good period of time. Whereas the video games industry only recently started around like the 70s, the 80s, so compared to other industries, it's still fairly young. so they haven't been able to get their own union put in place yet. But this year, we've had so many instances where people are starting to really demand that people who work in the games industry should have a union, you know. And that was kind of what the walkout was about. You know, some people in Riot Games demanded to have more rights from the head honchos, and basically they're still saying no, not at the moment, no.
It kind of sucks because,
Yeah.
you know, when there's a lot of good game developers and all of that stuff. You know, one thing a business or a corporation like Riot Games, they don't want to lose them.
Right.
Because they can go to, say, a rival of theirs.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, and it's one thing from me and Brian have realized from our line of work here doing media journalism and whatnot is that we really realize which companies are on the up and up and which ones really aren't doing too well in terms of the way that they treat their employees. I ain't really going to throw out too many names out there because, you know, I have to, you know, keep certain companies from being mad at us. But one thing I can say is that one of the few game companies out there that we genuinely trust, who is genuinely caring about their employees right now, is Nintendo.
Yes.
Nintendo is like one of the few people out there who do not want to force their employees to do crunch time because they realize that they're not going to want to be put on crunch time and that it would affect the morale, it would affect the quality of the games that come out. And it kind of confuses us as to how come nobody else is seeing what Nintendo's doing and how well they're doing right now because of the way they treat their employees.
It's because of the difference between short and long-term profits. American companies tend to want, you know, the short-term, you know, make $1 billion on this game this year, then move on to the next one. Who cares how many developers you burn out or bridges you burn? While Nintendo, their executives a few years ago took 50% pay reductions during a bad year so their employees didn't have to, so people didn't have to get fired. They're willing to delay games a bunch so they are good, that they are the Nintendo quality when they release, and not release, you know, this half-finished game and patch it in later. Because Shigeru Miyamoto, the president of Nintendo, said a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad.
Definitely. That is true.
Yeah, that makes
Because most people talk about bad games more than actually good games, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Anthem. Even if it becomes the greatest game in the world through patches and content updates, it's always going to be remembered for how bad it was at launch.
Yeah, same kind of with Destiny, I feel, when that came out, too. You know, it had the potential to be really good, and it is doing a lot better lately through Destiny 2 and its expansions and everything, but from the very beginning,
You know,
it required so many add-on contents for people to start paying attention to it.
now with that release, since it bombed so bad, you know,
Yeah.
how long did it take them for them to get that fan base back, you know?
It wasn't until they added the Taken King DLC, really.
Yeah, for D1 it was Taken King. For D2, which repeated pretty much every same mistake from D1, it was the Forsaken expansion of last year.
Yeah, you know, but it just goes to show, you know, the more time you take on it and the better you treat your employees, the overall better the quality of the game it's going to be when it comes out, you know? And it's kind of unfortunate hearing that Riot is still being very firm on not giving the employees the rights they deserve. So I kind of hope that later on in future episodes we get some kind of a resolution to talk about in this whole instance, you know. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of our weekly recap. Now it's time to enter our last segment for the show, Trailer Talk. Now in Trailer Talk, we like to talk about some of the trailers that came out this week on YouTube. I use Movie Clips trailers, but I have to throw a suggestion out there. If you guys have any other YouTube trailer sites that you think would do a lot better job, please let me know, because when we've been using Movie Clips trailers, they have a tendency to not list the main actors into their casting list. They like to throw in the actors that I personally think they kind of hold favorites over at times, you know, and it's kind of messed with us a few times here on the show when doing Trailer Talk. So if y'all have a better channel, you know, hit me up, let me know. So our first trailer that we're going to talk about is the first trailer for Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, because everybody expected Maleficent to get a sequel when that came out.
I just don't get why the first Maleficent was made. I don't understand it. But it exists now, and now this movie exists.
It's because of Alice in Wonderland. You get one gritty, edgy remake of a movie.
Basically.
Yeah, you get one gritty, edgy remake of a movie. They want to do a gritty, edgy remake of everything. That's how we got Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah.
And then recently, The Nutcracker. But now this. Its U.S. release date is October 18th, 2019. It's starring Angelina Jolie, Michelle Pfeiffer, Ed Skrein, and many others. The synopsis is that the complex relationship of Maleficent and Aurora continues to be explored as they face new threats to the magical land of the Moors. And this is directed by Joachim Ronning. I really hope I got the name right, but I don't know. I hope I didn't butcher that name.
Mm-hmm.
But from the trailer that we got, it didn't feel like a trailer. It felt like a teaser trailer more than anything.
Yeah, because it was so short.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a quick recap on the events that happened in the first Maleficent, and then a small little bit of stuff happened at the end of the trailer, but we got no explanation as to what actually happened or what is going on.
But the release date is still pushed to October, so I feel like, here's a little teaser trailer, and then this summer they're going to hit you with, bam, here's a full 3-minute trailer.
And that's usually the instance that we get with most movies lately, especially superhero movies.
Yeah.
It's always the first trailer syndrome. The first trailer kind of gives you a little something to look at, but doesn't really talk about anything, where the second trailer actually goes in depth onto what the story is going to be about, what characters are going to be in there, what are they going to be doing, and all that good stuff. And that seems to be the instance here. I certainly hope the second trailer gives us more context as to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of sad, but the description, the movie description of this trailer gave me more context than the actual trailer itself, and that's really saying something.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see that a lot for movies in the next month or two, because Comic-Con is coming up. So I'm just betting they're banking a lot of their big trailers for their bigger movies for, Comic-Con release.
Of course, yeah, because, Comic-Con, they're just going to hit us with bam.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam. All these big movie trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I honestly can't wait for Comic-Con when it comes out. We've already been able to do one special on San Diego Comic-Con. I certainly can't wait for the next one to come out, and we have our own little Comic-Con special going on here and everything. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Next trailer that we have is the first trailer for the psychological suspense thriller Midsummer. Its U.S. release date is August 9th, 2019, starring Florence Pugh, Will Poulter, William Jackson Harper, and many others. The synopsis is a young woman reluctantly joins her boyfriend on a summer trip where things quickly go awry, and it's directed by Ari Aster.
Same
This
guy that
one I'm
directed
definitely-
Hereditary.
This one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, now this one needs a bit of extra context. Now, the two main characters is a couple who seem to be having a bit of relationship issues. And the girlfriend tags along with the boyfriend and his friends to go to this Swedish place somewhere out in the nick of the woods, not necessarily sure where there's some event going on called Midsummer. And it's heavily implied that something weird's going on there, like time's slowing down over there. They find out that they're starting to get drugged and everything. It reminds me a lot of like the special effects work in Get Out.
Yes.
Where you're drugged and then all of a sudden, like, the environment starts to act weird around you and everything, but...
What about that theme music? Because when I first heard it, I definitely got a Get Out vibe from it.
Yeah, it definitely had that suspenseful vibe that, like, something's not right here, but you can't really put your finger on it.
And
That's
then
what it is,
and
exactly.
then when I saw Us, I kind of got that vibe to it, too.
Oh, yeah, the remake from the trailer, the remix of 5 on It in that trailer was a really good choice for that song. I mean, for that trailer, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But it looks good. It's made by Studio A24, who's done a lot of really good films in its past. It's one of the few production companies that I really do like to follow and see what movies they're working on. The last one they worked on, I think, that I'm really interested in is Mid-90s, which was directed by Jonah Hill.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a really good movie. I haven't gotten to see it yet, but it looks so good. I can't wait to watch it when I get a chance to. But yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. If you're into the psychological horror genre, it definitely looks more up your alley. Again, this is another first trailer syndrome, whereas we got some info, we also don't really know what's going on deep in the center.
Yeah.
So
and I with a movie like this, I doubt we're really going to get a lot more information from the trailers. I think it's going to be selling itself more on the mystery of everything, kind of like Us and Get Out.
And also A Cure for Wellness, when that came out too. The trailers also were very vague on what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, on to our last little trailer here, and it is the first trailer for Angel Has Fallen, which I was informed before we did the show this is apparently part of a trilogy that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, it started with Olympus Has Fallen back in 2013, which was about Gerard Butler saving the president from an attack on the White House. Also released that year was White House Down, with an identical plot, except it wasn't Gerard Butler.
Yeah, I actually saw that in theaters. I don't really like to see a lot of movies like that, but that one definitely caught my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then in 2016, I think, we got London Has Fallen, which was a sequel, which was Gerard Butler saving the president from an attack on London. And now we've got Angel Has Fallen, which, if you have some fairly basic pattern recognition skills, I bet you can guess the plot too.
The U.S. release date for Angel Has Fallen is August 23rd, 2019. It is starring Gerard Butler, Morgan Freeman, Piper Perabo, Jada Pinkett Smith, and many others. Synopsis is that secret agent Mike Banning is framed for the attempted assassination of the president and must evade his own agency and the FBI as he tries to uncover the real threat, and is directed by Rick Roman Waug. Now, I have to admit, I'm not usually the kind of person to watch the whole military movies. You know, once you've seen The Hurt Locker once, you kind of seen most military movies when they come out. But I do have to admit, with movies like these, the special effects are usually very fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know, from the trailer that we got from the very beginning, they're being bombarded by like these little mini stealth drones that look like bats that come out of the woods and just start dive bombing and exploding on everything. And it's kind of weird, like, he helped save the president from getting assassinated, but then right afterwards, he's accused of the assassination of Morgan Freeman, which from the trailer, you wouldn't understand why or how they could piece those two instances together, you know. But, like, he runs away from the FBI, and he comes across his dad, who's living out in the woods, and his dad's got some survival tactics. He uses, like, a remote-controlled explosion at one point in time. And eventually, I guess, he's trying to get to the president because the people who did the assassination on the president are still trying to kill the president, and he has to save him in time while the FBI is trying to stop him from assassinating the president.
What was interesting to me was seeing Morgan Freeman in a movie that's not, you know, lead rolling the movie. That's, you know, he's not the lead role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In most Morgan Freeman, you know, most movies he's in, he's mainly, you know, the lead protagonist. Or the lead, either protagonist or antagonist, but
Yeah.
it's cool to see a movie where he's not the lead.
I do have to admit, they tend to have a reputation of making Morgan Freeman either the protagonist, the direct antagonist, or just the god presence that happens to be there.
Because it's Morgan Freeman. I mean, if you're going to pay for Morgan Freeman, you're going to use Morgan Freeman.
Do you feel like they added Morgan into this movie for more views, more money?
I mean, he's been playing the president for the past two movies, and I'm betting they hired him for the first one, as you know. Yes, people will come to see this as Morgan Freeman and Gerard Butler are in it. But now I think it's just because he's the president in these movies now.
Yeah, you know, that did catch my attention. I didn't know that it was part of a trilogy, but when I saw that Morgan Freeman was the president, I'm like, okay, I could give that a shot just because, you know. And I'm also a fan of Gerard Butler's work and everything. I did like Gamer when that came out. And
That was a good movie.
Yeah. And then, he was in Terminator Salvation, wasn't he? And I thought that...
no, he wasn't.
It wasn't? No. Oh, I could have sworn he was. But yeah, I mean, he's a pretty good actor, you know. And the whole cast seems pretty good so far. You know, if you're interested in the whole, you know, military, Tom Clancy style kind of, you know, films, then this is definitely going to be up your alley, you know. So, I mean, I definitely recommend checking out that trailer when you get a chance. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the end of today's episode. My name is Edward Heitman. And also joining me in the studio is our our guest for today's show, Joshua Sartain. Thank you for being on the show today, my friend.
No problem.
Be sure to tune in every Saturday from 1 to 2 to find out the latest news regarding pop culture. Anything from movies to video games to TV shows, you name it, and we do our very best to cover it. And be sure to catch Joshua's new show, The Artist Hour, every Thursday from 9 o'clock here on the Voice of San Joaquin.
8 o'clock.
8 to 9 p.m.
My apologies.
It's okay, no problem.
But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful afternoon.